The new season of the Dragon Ball Super anime has come out with new features, and in today's video, I will show you all of this. The new season of the Dragon Ball Super anime promises a true visual revolution compared to its previous season. After years of mixed reviews and praise for the quality of the series' animation, Toei Animation finally seems to be taking seriously the importance of a solid, fluid, and artistically impactful visual identity. One of the most exciting factors for fans is the confirmation that new talents and some legendary veterans will be directly involved in the production of the episodes. Among the names that generate the most expectation are Naohiro Shintani, Chikashi Kubota, and the iconic return of Tadayoshi Yamamuro and Masaki Sato, with special mention for the legendary Nakatsuru, an animator who left his mark on Dragon Ball GT with a unique and memorable artistic style. Naohiro Shintani was one of the biggest positive surprises for the franchise in recent years. He took on the role of animation supervisor on the movie Dragon Ball Super Broly and redefined the modern look of the series. Unlike the rigid and often criticized aesthetic of the previous animated series, Shintani brought a looser, more expressive and cleaner style, which balances action and emotion much more effectively. His style brought life to the characters with more natural movements, more expressive faces, and much more dynamic fights. Chikashi Kubota, known for his work on One Punch Man and Naruto, is an animator who brings with him an extreme focus on complex action choreography and fluidity of movement. His participation in Dragon Ball Super indicates that the fights will not only have more visual impact, but will be choreographed with a more technical eye, respecting the exaggerated physics characteristic of the Dragon Ball universe without losing the internal realism of the scene. The expectation is for fight sequences as striking as those seen in Naruto vs. Pain or Saitama vs. Boros, with Kubota's signature clearly present. But the return that drew the most attention was that of Nakatsuru, who worked extensively on Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT. His style is instantly recognizable: softer features, expressive eyes, and a sense of drama that aligns well with the more serious, emotional parts of the franchise. He is responsible for many of GT's most memorable scenes, especially in the Baby and Super 17 arcs, and his return brings a welcome air of nostalgia to fans who followed the anime in previous decades. With this new team of animators, the proposal is clear: to mix the new with the old. The new season seeks to modernize the franchise's look without abandoning its roots. Shintani's style provides the modern, clean, and fluid base. Kubota injects raw energy and technical choreography, and Nakatsuru provides the dramatic and emotional charge that many missed in the previous season of Super. The collaboration of these artists creates a hybrid aesthetic capable of pleasing both newer fans and veterans who grew up with Dragon Ball Z and GT. The previous season of Dragon Ball Super, although it had moments of brilliance such as the fights against Hit, Goku Black, and Jiren, was also marked by inconsistent and, in certain episodes, even poor animation. The rush in production and the lack of visual planning made it clear that there was more concern about releasing episodes weekly than ensuring consistent visual quality. Now, with a more spaced-out schedule and a more experienced and diverse team, the new season has the opportunity to stand out as one of the best visual productions in the franchise. Another important point is the use of more advanced technology. Toei Animation has invested heavily in state-of-the-art digital tools, allowing for a more harmonious integration between 2D animation and digital effects. This will allow for the creation of explosions, key effects, transformations, and spatial distortions with much more impact, as seen in Dragon Ball Super Broly, where the visuals were consistently praised even by critics outside the fandom. The new season can benefit even more from these advances, now with a team that knows exactly how to use them without losing the charm of traditional 2D. Additionally, there are rumors that some famous freelance animators will also be involved in specific episodes, such as Yuya Takahashi, who has a more angular and intense style, much loved by the most demanding animation fans. The presence of animators like him could mean event episodes with an even higher quality, as happened with episode 110 of the fight between Goku and Jiren. The character design should also undergo subtle changes. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and the others will probably have more refined features, with less heavy shadows and more facial expressiveness. Transformations such as Ultra Instinct and Gohan's Beast Mode will have their own animations, with the intention of reinforcing the uniqueness of each form, a point that was previously criticized since some transformations seemed like just hair color changes without due visual emphasis. The return of Nakatsuru also raises expectations for more contemplative and emotional moments. The way he constructs scenes of dialogue and smooth transitions between action and emotion is something few animators can capture. If this new season decides to explore more of the human side of the characters, such as Gohan dealing with his evolution or Vegeta reflecting on his pride, Nakatsuru's touch will be essential to make these moments unforgettable. It is worth remembering that the animation team is only part of the success, but it is a part that has been neglected for a long time in Dragon Ball. Now, with more time, more investment, and more talent, the series can once again be a reference for quality, not only in narrative and action, but also in visual appeal. And for a franchise as iconic as Dragon Ball, this is almost an obligation. The new season of Dragon Ball Super, therefore, will not only be a continuation of the story, it will be an aesthetic reformulation, a revaluation of the artistic work behind each episode. With names like Shintani, Kubota, and Nakatsuru at the forefront, the visual future of the series seems more promising than ever. Fans will finally be able to see battles that not only impress with their strength, but also with their visual beauty, the emotion in the lines, and the fluidity of each blow. This is, without a doubt, one of the most ambitious seasons in terms of animation in the history of the franchise. And if Toei maintains this level of technical and artistic commitment, Dragon Ball Super could enter a new era, not only as one of the greatest action animes, but also as one of the best animated of its generation. Are you ready to see Goku and company with the best animation in Dragon Ball history? The new season of the Dragon Ball Super anime is really on its way to becoming, without exaggeration, the most beautiful of the entire franchise. And this is not just about superficial aesthetics, but about meticulous care with each frame, with each movement of the characters, and even with the setting of the scenarios, something that, for many years, was treated with a certain neglect. The work that is being done now shows a deep respect for the legacy of Dragon Ball, but also a creative boldness that seeks to expand the visual limits of what has already been done. If transformations were previously portrayed with repetitive effects or frame recycling, now each form and each key moment must have its own animation sequence worthy of applause. The brilliance of Ultra Instinct, the raw energy of Beast Gohan, the chaos of legendary Broly, everything is being drawn with a new artistic approach, which takes into account both emotion and grandeur. With Nakatsuru bringing his dramatic sensibility, Shintani polishing the modern designs, and Kubota ensuring breathtaking fights, the result can only be one: Dragon Ball at the peak of its visual quality. This refinement also extends to subtle details such as facial expressions during dialogues, lighting in moments of tension, and the more intelligent use of the color palette to convey distinct atmospheres between scenes of calm, drama, and combat. These are resources that other major anime productions have already been using masterfully, and that now finally seem to have entered Toei internal philosophy for Dragon Ball. And everything indicates that this will be the norm from now on, no longer the exception. The setting also promises to evolve a lot. Cities, battlefields, temples, divine dimensions, everything will have more depth, with layers and movement in the background that complement the action without stealing the focus. This contributes to the viewer's immersion and helps to increase the sense of scale during the battles. Instead of empty or generic scenarios, the stage of the fights now becomes part of the visual narrative, something very present in the work of Shintani and Kubota in other projects. And if we consider that the soundtrack and sound direction must also accompany this leap in quality, the impact will be even greater. Imagine watching Gohan's next transformation with an epic new soundtrack, amidst a sky torn by energetic thunder, with fluid animation and cinematic angles. This is no longer a distant dream. With the names involved and the care that seems to be applied, it is something perfectly possible and expected. Another point that cannot be ignored is how this visual evolution can redefine fan engagement. For a long time, Dragon Ball has lived off its nostalgic strength, its iconic characters, and the eternal charisma of Goku and Vegeta. But now, the new generation, accustomed to more visually elaborate animes, will have a product that lives up to their demands. This not only attracts new audiences, but also renews the enthusiasm of veterans who have been waiting for years for a definitive version of the franchise in terms of animation. The fandom is already demonstrating this expectation on social media. Every storyboard leak, every rumor about the technical team, every trailer or promotional image is a reason for analysis, euphoria, and speculation. The hype comes not only from the plot, but from the promise of watching Dragon Ball like never before, with the same visual impact that animes like Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, and Attack on Titan delivered in their most celebrated seasons. And if this promise is fulfilled, there will be no doubt The new season of Dragon Ball Super will not only be the most beautiful, but the most memorable of all. Not because of a stronger villain or a new fusion, but because it will represent a new standard of quality, a new era in which anime will not only be watched, but will be admired frame by frame as a true work of art in motion. In addition, the union between tradition and innovation in this project is what makes it so special. Nakatsuru's lines and his nostalgia for GT meet the freshness of Shintani, while Kubota injects modern energy into the battles. It is a fusion that represents everything Dragon Ball has always been: evolution. If the story continues to explore new narrative horizons, such as the conflict with Frieza Black, the growth of characters like Gohan and Broly, and the introduction of new universes and gods, this season will have as much depth as it does spectacle. The beauty of an anime goes beyond aesthetics. It lies in its ability to capture the eye, to convey emotion with a simple look or a gesture of pain or overcoming. And if the rumors and confirmations are true, this season will capture all of this with excellence. There will no longer be a need to justify production errors with the weight of tradition, because tradition will now be elevated, not burdened. It is clear that Toei Animation has understood the responsibility of continuing the most iconic franchise in anime by investing in top talent and giving creative freedom to experienced and visionary animators. The new season of Dragon Ball Super not only has everything it needs to be the most beautiful it needs to be, and based on what is being built, it will be. If this comes to fruition, if each episode delivers everything these names promised, I have no doubt fans will be more than satisfied. They will be excited, they will be proud, they will be witnessing a milestone. Because when form meets content and both rise to the maximum, something rare is born. And this new season could very well be that something. The truth is that Toei Animation knows it can't afford to make a mistake this time. The pressure is enormous, both from fans who have been waiting for years for a worthy return, and from the competition that has absurdly raised the level of quality of animation in the current scenario. After all the ups and downs throughout Dragon Ball Super's trajectory, the time has come to show the world that the franchise can still be a reference not only for its legendary story, but also for its visual excellence. And so, bringing in names like Shintani, Kubota, and Nakatsuru was a strategic and necessary move, which shows that the studio is taking this project with the seriousness and ambition it deserves. If the new season delivers everything it promises, with spectacular animation, memorable fights, and impressive visuals in every episode, it will be more than just a triumphant return. It will be a statement from Toei. Dragon Ball is still alive, stronger than ever, and ready to reinvent itself. The studio knows that it is dealing with one of the most beloved works in history, and that there is no more room for mistakes now. The new era has begun, and the eyes of the world are on every frame. Success is within reach. Toei just needs to hold on tight and deliver what we all know they can deliver. But comment on what you thought of all this, and don't forget to like. Thank you very much for all your support, and see you next time.